I am Russell Fawcett, founder and owner of Omada Real Estate. And today I have Jonathan Enders with All Things Marketing, owner of Omada Marketing. Jonathan, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, Russ, thanks for having me today. Appreciate it.
Okay, well, we're going to jump in, but I like to be a little, probably less formal on these. And so tell us about you, Jonathan. Like, what's kind of your background? How are you in marketing?
Yeah, so a little bit about me, the 35 years old now, 35 years young. That's what I'm telling myself. I got into marketing actually when I first started working. My dad grew up, he was an entrepreneur. He had multiple businesses. I saw the hustle, and I also kind of wanted that lifestyle as well, the hustling lifestyle to be able to build something, grow, and then also help other businesses, hit their dreams and be able to obtain whatever goals they're looking for. If it's $5,000 more in sales every year, or if it's 5 new location, whatever their dreams and goals are to really help them. And to be able to do that, had to go into school, got the degree in marketing. That's totally irrelevant now. It's 10 years old and now we have AI. So everything in marketing, you got to stay updated all the time. And that's one thing that we do is just stay up to date on recent news topics and being able to help our clients out.
So how does one stay on top of everything? It's constantly changing. I had a buddy that told me that if you have a marketing degree and you're actually relying on that you're already outdated. So how do you make sure what you're doing is relevant and working today?
So what I'm doing to make sure all of my clients are relevant, it's constant education. Every single month, I challenge myself on one or two items of, okay, so this month we're going to be focusing on GEO. Let's go and sign up for everything GEO related. Make sure we get all the emails, podcasts. It's about absorbing, listening, and then also leveraging the technology that we have currently in us. I have a ChatGPT thread that I ask it every single day. Give me the new news from AI in the marketing world yesterday. It gives me 3 articles. I click on the article. I read a little bit about it and then apply some of the tactics to my clients, our clients, or whatever the instance is. But it's a constant having to go out and learning, keeping up to date with everything's going on. Sign yourself up for as many newsletters as possible and stay off. Like, social media is great. Obviously, we're all on it, but the newsletters are really nice, concise. It gives you the answers you're looking for. And you got to go seek the information. You can't just wait for it to come to you.
So going back a little bit, what's GEO? You use the term GEO. What is that?
GEO is the newest SEO of the 2000s. It is ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, all of these AIs. We all want to search and show up on there. Now, 5 years ago, 1 year ago, we all went to Google. We searched best barbershops near me, or if we were looking to train a dog, hey, how do I train my German Shepherd dog? And you would have all these search, and you got to click on 100 different articles. Now, not everyone, a lot of people are shifting to ChatGPT. With ChatGPT, people are going on there, hey, I have a German Shepherd dog. How can I best train it at 3 to 6 months old? And it's providing all the results. In home buying in the real estate industry, people are going to ChatGPT to help their journey. A situation or example is, I'm looking to buy a home in Salt Lake City. I have bad credit. What are the steps? And it gives all the steps. At some point in that conversation, the individual will ask ChatGPT, who's the best agent in the area? And they're going to list the agents. Now, the best brokerage in the area is Omada Real Estate, and the best team is the Stern team. But ChatGPT may not know that because they're pulling searches off the internet and everywhere on the internet. So depending on what people are doing on the internet, ChatGPT, Perplexity are pulling the information in. So GEO is generative engine optimization of all your AI chats, your Gemini, Perplexities. And when someone goes there, ask a question, and they provide and then the technology provides the results. That's GEO.
So why do you think it is that, we just immediately kind of accepted Chat GPT is truth. And this is, I mean, this is now going into a little bit conceptual, hypothetical, whatever you want to call it. But what surprised me is how quickly we all just adopted it, and we'll ask it questions and say, you know, how do you do this? And I mean, it's just pulling information, right? But like people are immediately taking that of like, if they go in and ask it like, oh, who's the best agent? And it only indexes from one site that may even be an irrelevant site because there was no qualification of what GPT used to index. Like, why do you think that we've just all accepted it? Is it years of programming from reliability of Google, or do you have some other theory of why we just all accepted it so fast?
I think it's the same thing with everything that kind of comes onto the scene and everyone flocks to it and runs to it. It's time. For me, at least, it's time why people go to it. In the past, I would go to Google, hey, I'm taking a trip to Aruba or taking a trip to Spain, and spent like an hour, hour and a half trying to like discover my trip. Whereas now I can go to ChatGPT, ask a question within and get my full answer within 5 minutes. The ability to use the technology and save our time so we can take that time to go spend with our friends, family, or do whatever we like to do in the world. I think people tend to go to things if it's quick, easy, and it helps them out a lot. Any service, anything people buy, they're buying so it can help them. And that's what ChatGPT and the AIs do.
Yeah. And then, so I saw an article that Salesforce had laid off 4,000 people because of AI. Like, what are you doing? What can other people do, you think, to use AI as a tool but, you know, stay relevant as AI progresses?
Yeah, so AI is the future in terms of employee leverage. So I started my first like advertising job I got was with the advertising agency down in Miami, Florida. Amazing people, Max and Deanna, they're amazing. And when we were running that agency, we had 2 account managers, 2 creative people, 2 ad copy people. We had a team of 10 people. The last 18 months, Amana Marketing has done the exact same that agency has done. And we've been able to do it with just 4 people. Why were we able to do it with 4 people? With systems, processes, and then also leveraging technology, setting up an AI chat for just real estate buyer ad copy for first-time home buyers, not using it for anything else and just using it for that one item itself.
Yeah, and I think you said something there that I think is super, super important, is actually using technology to create the systems. Because at the end of the day, like, I truly believe that we're all going to have access to technology, right? Those that adopt it, we're all going to be kind of playing on this level playing field of, okay, tech is doing this, we're able to operate more efficiently and ultimately be able to help more people. Because I still think at the end of the day, there is going to be kind of that check of like, okay, all this stuff I'm doing, is this actually what I'm supposed to be doing? And having kind of the expert that understands it. So but if you don't adopt it and you go kind of, and in the real estate industry, honestly, as I've taught and went around, there's a lot of people that wing it. It's like, okay, like, what's your conversion rate, or how much are you spending? What's your cost per lead or cost per close? And they don't have a clue.
Oh, yes. Hey, when you got a Facebook or Google lead, how long does it take to convert? Or how many text message, how many calls? All of those items, if you can leverage tech, like we have the new terminal system built out where we know how many calls, texts, and emails it takes until a Google or Facebook lead gets to appointment set. Not closed, just appointment set, because that's one journey. And that's where you can use AI to leverage. If you take the journey of buying a home, there's different stages. The discovery stage where they start to think about buying. Use AI to, hey, how can we help move the individual down the funnel a little bit more who has bad credit? Create a workshop, create programs that can help them. Leverage AI. And the one big thing that I didn't mention before, is that when you do use AI, you have to actually also double check it. It's wrong a lot. So many times I tell ChatGPT, you did that wrong. Oh, sorry, Jonathan, you're right. I did do that wrong. So it's like, you have to make sure you check it, because individuals that are on social media or websites or wherever you're using it, people can start recognizing AI versus human writing. So you got to humanize the writing as well. Make sure you put your personal touch and change it up a little bit as well.
Yeah. No, it makes me laugh. And that's why I asked the question, right? Of like, why do we just accept it? I was watching a football game over the weekend, and I, instead of Google, I did ask chat, like, what teams are still undefeated. And I am a BYU fan, and it did not include BYU in that. And I was like, why isn't BYU in this conversation? And they put, that they lost Iowa State, and it was like 4 minutes left in the game, and we were at that point up in that game, and so it had already said that we lost in a game that was playing. So it completely interesting, right? We still have to go ahead and fact check it, and that's why I think people will use it even in our industry to say, what's my home worth, or different things. The consumer is going to become so much more educated. They'll become opinionated, but it's still going to take human element to say, no, this is the real reason why your home's not selling at the price that, maybe ChatGPT said, your home was worth this. And, I'll use Salt Lake for an example. You cross over like 700 East and 1300 East. Like, there's a big difference. And so there is still some of that human element of interpretation of data that has to take place.
Oh, data, wording, and everything. I don't deny it. I enforce it. I go to the movement with like headlines, ad copy, doing a home seller evaluation or the list to sell your home. They'll kick out some terrible headlines. And so often I see it now when I'm going online, Facebook, Google, and everything. You see that ad copy, it's double checking. But it saves still in the end of times. I think it saves me. Yes, I have to spend 2 minutes to double check, but I didn't spend 20 minutes creating this ad copy. It was done for me, and I was working on other projects while ChatGPT was doing its thing.
Yeah, you can definitely become more efficient. Kind of shifting gears a little bit. So I was listening to a podcast the other day, and I thought that was, it was Alex Hormozi, and he talked about, like, if you want more business, there's only 4 ways to get it. And he said, warm outbound, cold outbound, pay, so like pay-per-click, or content. And I was like, to me, to categorize it that way, I was like, that's amazing. Like, that truly is. I don't know that I could pick another category. How would you recommend, though, like, balancing between those things? Because I also think, yeah, you can do outbound, but you could also be doing content to make your outbound more efficient. Or same thing with your warm, right? Warm outbound. If you've been emailing and your friends on social media and you're nurturing kind of that relationship online, so that when you do an outbound call, it goes a lot more smooth. So, like, hearing that, like, what can you do to build in, I guess, to where your outbound or even your paid would be more efficient?
To kind of build out like your outbound, inbound, however the leads are coming to you, what you need to do is create buyer personas. And then, just piggybacking off of our last topic with AI, every new client that I sign up, we have them fill out intake form. Why? Because we want to create a buyer persona. You create the buyer persona for who your individual is or who your people are. So you have those 4 pillars, but inside those 4 pillars, there's other pillars. So outbound calls, you got FISBOs, expires, circle calls. There's a lot of different roundabout pillars. So create a buyer persona inside of ChatGPT or whatever AI tech you use. Say, hey, I am looking to target, we'll use FISBOs because FISBOs are nice and easy, individuals who are looking to sell their home on their own, and the reason why they're looking to sell on their own, because they purchased a house in 2020, they're over on their mortgage, whatever the situation. Tell it, ChatGPT, everything. Sit there and talk to it. I had a prompt one time. I sat and I talked to it for 5 minutes. It was long, but it gave me a really concise buyer persona of who I was trying to target. And then I can take that buyer persona, input it. Hey, I have these inbound calls. What are some potential hooks or startings that I can do? Or outbound calls, or whatever the situation, whatever the lead source is, it will give you a couple techniques on how to make more connection. And the one way with all things marketing, to the key thing with marketing is telling a story. You want to tell a story. There's a model called a seven-step story framework, which essentially an individual, when they discover you, what's their journey to they purchase? And you want to make sure you tell a really nice story when someone is coming in. So they're coming in from an expired, your outbound call from an expired. Try to take them down the journey and understand what their shoes are and where they're sitting at. They may be in a very unfortunate situation. So to make it more effective, the best way is to better understand your client through buyer personas or whatever the situation is or option is.
It goes back to the old saying, right? Of facts tell, stories sell. And if they can see the solution through your story by relating with whatever you're talking about, you're more likely to get traction than if you're just like, oh, FSBOs, historically sell for 7% less than homes that are listed on the MLS or whatever that stat is, right? But if you can show someone that, like, look, this person thought that they were, so-and-so thought they were underwater, they were able to consult, and by making a few tweaks that the agent suggested, I mean, painting more of a picture and having it told from the consumer side as opposed to the agent side is going to get a lot more traction than just throwing out the stat.
Oh, 100%. And that's the biggest. If I had to say there was one huge problem that I see often in today's marketing world, it's the business owners too often put themselves as the hero. So we take a Star Wars analogy. The business owners are Yodas. We're not Luke Skywalkers. We're Yodas. Our clients are Luke Skywalkers. We want to guide them to discover the Force and become all powerful and everything. It's not about us. We're going to get our win and our end when they close and transact. We want to help them get to the end journey.
Yeah. I think you're just calling me Yoda because I'm bald and a little soft, but I'll take it.
Yoda has a little more hair than you do.
So on that as well, I think as we look at it and we're trying to figure out, let's say I have a budget to spend in marketing, where do I kind of figure out, like, okay, do I spend in generating content, email marketing, maybe social media marketing, or do I just spend directly into leads? Because there's difference, right? There's content, but there's also, and I would even maybe bring in the category of there's content, there's like marketing, brand awareness, and then there's just full on buying leads. Like, how do you break down of what's the most important of, like, okay, if I have $10, $100, $1,000, and then tens of thousands of dollars to spend, is there kind of a level that you recommend of, like, okay, if you only have $50 to spend each month, we're going to start here. And then if you get to the point where you have 500, we're going to move to this. Then if you have a bigger budget, that's when we start doing this. Kind of walk me through, if I, were a client, what's kind of the journey of how I should be spending my marketing dollars?
Yep. So with any client, the right answer is what their goals are. So what I do with Amana Marketing is when a new client comes on board, first thing I ask them is, what are your goals in 5 years? I don't want to know your goals in 5 days or 5 weeks, 5 months. What's your goals in 5 years? Because that's what we got to start building the infrastructure for right now. We don't want to wait 4 years to build infrastructure. We want to do it now and start building it. And I'll take one of our clients, Tracy, as an example. Tracy, she's an agent in Georgia. She came to me, she had no database. Like, I asked her for a database. She goes, I have my cell phone. I said, perfect, that's where we're going to start. And what we did, She had listings, but she didn't have a database. So we leveraged her listings to go and build her database. Now that her database is built, the next thing that we took and we added on to her plan and her marketing scheme is, hey, we have 200 leads. We need to start emailing these leads. So now every single month, we are actually emailing her leads 6 to 8 times in total, adding on to the current marketing. And now her next thing that she's doing is actually YouTube. And the reason why we went into YouTube is to also discover what the person is most activated in or most engaged in. And what I mean by that is, what are they going to want to pick up the phone and call a lead for? Or what action are they going to want to do? Tracy is amazing on video. She loves making TikTok videos, love making short reels on Facebook and all that. She averages now over 3,000 views on every single one of her videos. She's amazing at it. So would I have her do a lot of like new lead generation and outbound phone call? No, she's a person that needs to do and make content, because she has every single month 1 to 2 individuals that sees her videos and reaches out and says, hey, Tracy, you're so awesome, amazing. I would love to have you sell my house or help me buy a home. Every month, it's like clockwork. 2 deals a month she gets just from her social media because she put her time and energy in it. And then as she continues to grow, her next stage of growth is online lead generation of higher quality, of like pay-per-click leads that go through a couple of nurturing sequences. That's a good plan for that one agent. So to answer your question of a good overall plan, it really depends on the agent or the team and what their goals are. So that way you can set up a plan correctly for those goals. And if you have a very large budget, say $10,000 a month, you don't want to shove all of that in Facebook or all of that in Google or all of that in radio. You want to make sure you have a nice balance. So that way, if one lead source dries up, you have all these other lead sources to help continue your business to advance further. So sign up on the referral websites and sign up for everything. Make sure you have a nice balance of different lead sources, but then also lead sources and that you're going to want to reach out to, people that you're going to want to pick up the phone on a Tuesday when you have no motivation. We all have those where you don't want to work, but we still have to work. And you're going to pick up and call a lead, or you're going to record a video for YouTube or whatever it is. And it's making sure you have a nice plan and having a plan that aligns with your goals.
Right. And I do think something you know, kind of alluded to is you have to market based off of what you're willing to do as well. Right. Like if you're not willing to pick up the phone to talk to an inbound lead that inquired on a property, or that, you know, maybe downloaded a guide that is 2 years away from transacting because you just put, you know, what projects bring you the most ROI. If you're not willing to call and then nurture that lead for 18 months to 2 years, like, it's a waste. And so you have to understand, like, okay, what am I actually willing to do that will build my business towards my goals? If someone came to me and said, you know, my goal is to do 12 transactions a year, I would probably lean into that person's database and say, like, we don't have to spend a ton of money on cold leads. Like, let's lean into just client relationships and into the relationships you already have. But if you have an agent that says, hey, my goal is to close 100 transactions, and you go to their database and they only have 100 people in their database, it's like, okay, we've got to build your database. We've got to get you lists that we're going to start, you know, retargeting and marketing to. And so it comes down to someone's goals. What are they? You know, let's say we're in the home services industry and they only need 1 or 2, you know, appointments a week. You're not you know, a plumber that can't handle 1,000 phone calls because they're a one-man show. They're not going to want to spend a ton on like just lead gen. They're probably going to want to dive into a little bit more of that foundation of getting the clicks and, you know, having people call them directly.
Oh, and events as well. If it's you said it's like, what are you motivated to do? The events is another big one. If that's a way that you want to generate lead, go to events, do what is going to wake up and you're going to be excited to do.
Right. So how do people compete with companies? We have Zillow, Homes.com, HomeLight. Like we have a lot of these large aggregators that have budgets of upwards of 500 million plus a year. I mean, Homes.com is owned by CoStar. Um,
I see their commercials all the
Realtor.com.
time.
Like they just have tons of money. You have companies that have never turned a profit, so they're willing to actually spend to take market share. Like, how do I compete with that?
Unless you go out and get a bunch of VCs and fund and you try to go head to head with the money, it's hard to. So that's where it's acceptance in a way of, okay, we don't have the $5,000 every day to spend, but what can we do differently that will get us business? And it's a lot of nitty gritty. You got to get dirty in a way. You got to do a lot of dirty work. And it's mostly about connections and about relationships. We're in the relationship business right now. And when someone comes in from a Google, Facebook, or any other lead, it's about tying back in with the journey, about having that journey individuals when they come into your database or when they discover who you are. What is the experience that they have in your with you? And if your question was more in terms and aligned with how do you compete in lead generation, it's doing events, going out, getting yourself involved in the community, door knockers, everything else. Are you talking more events or, I mean, lead generation or just overall?
Yeah, just overall. But I think for me, as I think about it, if someone was like, how am I going to compete with it? The cool thing about marketing today is, like, before, if you wanted to get out to an audience, you had to do like broadcast, right? Of like, I have to be on the radio, or I've got to be able to have millions of dollars to go into a campaign for cable, or I've got to, like, you would essentially, all of the marketing avenues, you had to pay to hit the masses. But now with the landscape of, like, you literally can target 20 people if you want to, and for those 20 people you can show up in their social media feeds, you can show up on streaming, you can show up when they're watching YouTube, right? So it's just one of those that, like, you can target a much smaller group, and even better if those people already know you. So now all of a sudden it's like, okay, like, I have a personal relationship with you, Jonathan. You know me personally as your real estate agent. Then all of a sudden I'm showing up to, maybe you're getting a postcard that I'm doing once a quarter. I'm showing up in your Facebook feed. I'm showing up when you're watching TV. And it's like, all of a sudden, to you, I'm everywhere. And it's like, this guy must spend a ton in marketing, right? He's everywhere to me. But maybe someone next door to you, they've never even heard of me, right? And so it's one of those that, like, I would say, like, we focus on a database of people that is manageable as far as what you have in your budget. And then kind of your job then becomes building that relationship where, when we talk, I don't even necessarily have to talk about real estate. They know what I do because of essentially the content they're getting from me. And I can just
They're
say, hey
seeing
man,
you.
how's it going? Right. And then it's all of a sudden we develop a friendship that is a true friendship. Like, if you're just doing it to get business, like, people sniff that out right away. But, like,
It's their
I
biggest
believe that someone can develop, a relationship with 200 people if they're intentional about it. They have systems helping them do it. And all of a sudden it's like, no, you can hit your financial goals off of that, as opposed to feeling like you need to run a Super Bowl commercial.
Oh, in terms of that, social media has changed the game so much from the 90s and 2000s. You just got to have one video that hits the algorithm people attach to, and then you're going to get viral or people are going to discover you on the back end. And it's much easier now if you haven't seen the show, the TV documentary, The Social Dilemma. It kind of goes into exactly what you're talking about. One neighbor is seeing one set of news and another neighbor is seeing another set of news. And it's all based off the targeting and based off our actions on the internet as well.
Yeah, that was, when I watched that movie, I probably shouldn't say it out loud, but I probably had a different feeling than a lot of people. I think a lot of people were like, oh, I'm never going to go on social media again. Like for
I
me
saw
as
it's
an
like,
advertiser, I was like, why would I spend my money anywhere else? Here's billion-dollar companies that their sole goal is to make sure that my advertisement is delivered in at a time when someone is most likely to transact or reach out. I was like, yeah, that's changed the game for sure.
oh, and pe- a long time ago, before Facebook, when they got started, everyone thought Facebook leads were very, very low quality. But these companies, especially Facebook, they've taken a lot of precautions and steps to ensure the quality of their lead as well. So in terms of targeting on Facebook, now you have phone verified leads. You never had that before. They're really working on getting a better product and for end users and our advertisers.
Yeah. So what would you say as you've worked with people, what are maybe some of the biggest mistakes you find people do when executing on a marketing campaign?
Consistency is the biggest thing overall. In consistency and then also shiny objects. So Tracy, I love Tracy, as I already kind of spoke about her. She sold one house for a cash offer, and she all of a sudden like, hey, I want to do cash offers now. It's like, hey, no, we won in this category. Let's stay in this lane. Let's keep winning. Yes, you want to build this. We can do that, but we never done that. We don't want to pivot and change right away. And it's about being consistent as well. If you start a newsletter, don't stop your newsletter. If you start sending emails, don't stop sending emails, because people will recognize on that breakage. And then also reaching out to people as well and being willing to communicate with them. In real estate, we're a relationship business. So when you have an individual who's clicked on your last 10 emails and is thinking about selling, pick up the phone and call them. Don't wait for them to come to you. Go find them as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's definitely something that I've seen is people not understanding, that lag of lead to close. So when I get a lead, how long does it take, for them to close? Because I remember early on when, looking at it, we got into radio and we were ready to pull the plug on it because we hadn't seen a closing. We'd been doing it for almost a year. And it was like, okay, we haven't got any return. But then when we looked at it, I think we had like 16 pending from radio. And if we had shut it off, like we would have killed any momentum that we had built up over the year. And it's tough because it's like, okay, I turned it off. Oh, shoot. All of a sudden I had all these closings. Let me go back and turn it on. And now I'm another 12 to 18 months from getting the closing. And so
Patience.
understanding the lag, understanding that you have to be consistent, because if you turn it on and turn it off, and that's tough for some people. And that's also, I think, the other thing that happens is it's like, oh, all of a sudden I have an increase in revenue because something worked, and instead of continuing to invest, people will pull back, or they'll pull back kind of in the winter time when maybe transactions are a little bit slow. And it's like, you've got to keep it up, otherwise your business will be a roller coaster. I mean, if you want to grow consistently, you have to continually do the things that are working and kind of live with the seasonality of real estate, but your marketing has to stay consistent.
Oh, we've seen that year in and year out. People who are thinking about selling their house in the year next year, they're taking their actions in November, December to see what their home value is. They're starting to peek around the corner. And consistency and then patience as well. A lot of times with marketing, you start a campaign and you won't see the results of it for 6 to 12 months. For me, that's like the one thing I would say I don't like about marketing is I can do something and I won't see results for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. We have a new website we just re-optimized. We optimized it on the first, but we couldn't see the stats and results till the end of the month. And there's just a huge lag. And being patient and consistent during that time, I think, is a vital point that a lot of business owners, agents, team members, and everyone make a mistake of, all right, this is not working, let's quickly pivot and keep going. Sometimes you got to be patient and just wait for it to happen.
Yeah, you're never celebrated for your work, right? You're celebrated for your results. And even though it may take, a year, sometimes 2 years to get the results, then all of a sudden, all your hard work that you're doing, they get mad over, like, you're doing all this stuff and it doesn't work, right? And they haven't given it time to play out. And it's a tough battle. Like, it's like, in our minds with agents, it's the same way as working with a marketer of like, guys, you have to put in the work and you're not going to get the paycheck. Like, this is not a show up, clock in, clock out, get the result, as with a normal job, right? If you're going to go into marketing or if you're going to be an entrepreneur, understand that you don't get paid for the work. You get paid when you get the result, which is usually a direct, it comes after the work, but you're not going to be celebrated or recognized for the work you're doing. And so you have to be patient and consistent until you get the result.
I think you said a key word there with the real estate agents. They're not a regular W-2 employee that, knowing they're going to get a paycheck. They got to want and go out and get it and bring that and have that work on the backside and be willing to be consistent. And everyone wants to jump in business and be their own business owners, but you work 80 hours a week, so you don't work 40 hours a week for someone else.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird dichotomy of like, hey, you're going to go out. Not only are you going to work for free, you're more than likely going to actually pay. Like, you got to pay money, but
Your
it just,
license, gas,
it's
and all of that.
it's just such a different mindset that you have to have going into any type that, either business or commission based of like, you got to put in the work and you actually may even have to spend money to get the result. Anyways, so that went quick. We are coming up on time. So Jonathan, if you had any advice to give people as they're starting out, or maybe they're even, well along their way in their journey of entrepreneurship, what would you recommend? Like, kind of what's your, hey, here's my cheat code.
In terms of for the marketing side, to get started, get going, do a SWOT analysis. See where your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats are as a business. And then to grow and for entrepreneurs and everything else, put down your head. And I deleted social media back in March. It wasn't because I didn't like it. It was because I spent 3 hours a day on it. And I was like, wait a second, I'm spending 3 hours a day on social media? No, I got my goals. I got my why. So discover what your why is, have your why written down, and then go after your why, whatever it takes to get it.
Awesome. Someone wanted to reach out to you. How do they find you?
You can go to omadamarketing.com. Omada is OMADAMKTG.com. And on there, you'll find all my contact information and you can even book a call with me.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I know I learned a ton today. Thanks for coming on. If anyone wants to reach out to me, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever. Best way to reach out to me, just DM me. Happy to have a conversation anytime. Thanks again, Jonathan.
No problem. Thanks.